The HoneyDew with Ryan Sickler.
Welcome back to the HoneyDew, y'all. We're over here doing it in the Night Pants Studios. I am Ryan Sickler, ryansickler.com, Ryan Sickler on all your social media. And I'm going to start this episode like I start all of them by saying thank you. Thank you, whether you're new here or whether you've been here. Thank you so much. Whatever you do to support anything that I do, from the Patreon to the stand-up, all of it, I can't thank you enough. All right. If you got to have more, I say it every time, you got to have the Patreon. It's $5. I've kept it $5 since the get-go. It's not going up. And it's this podcast with y'all. And I'm telling you, y'all have the craziest stories I've ever heard in my life. The stuff that comes out of you and the strength you guys have. We just talked to a guy that literally lost his hand and he's in the hospital zooming us with the thing freshly wrapped up. Said he can still feel it, all the phantom, everything. That's the kind of stuff that's going on. So go check that out and come see me on tour. I'm going to be out all year. Tickets are available on my website at ryansickler.com. All right. That's the biz. You guys know what we do here. We highlight the lowlights. I always say these are the stories behind the storytellers. And I am very excited to finally have this guest on the HoneyDew. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Todd Glass. Welcome to the HoneyDew, Todd Glass.
How you doing, good sir?
It's very good to see you again, Todd Glass. You don't even know. Can I just say this quickly, and then I'm going to let you promote everything you'd like. You gave me the greatest introduction of my life on any podcast I've ever had. Back in the day, I don't know if you still record there at all, but you had that studio that overlooked the vintage car museum.
Yeah, no, we moved to a carriage house in the back of my house, which was also very cool.
Fantastic. You let me do a photo shoot back there,
right.
Headshots.
But that was the
where I learned you were very big on lighting.
Yes, but Black Horse Motors was...
It was like out of Boogie Nights or something, the all glass. And I mean, literally, there's the Bandit from Smoking the Bandit down there. I'm like, oh my God, these vintage, classic cars. And not like, I mean, real from movies and things. And I remember sitting down, we start the podcast, and we must be 10 minutes in. And you're like, all right, we're going to introduce you. I'm like, wait, we're going to introduce it. We already started recording. He's like, you're like, yeah. And look, you have two choices. You could either sit there and we'll introduce you, or you can go over there, walk down the steps a little bit, and we'll play you in. And I said, well, if you're going to play me in, Todd Glass, I want to be played in. And I went over and I crouched down, and you had a 3-person band in a room not much bigger than this, really, cranking it. And you called me in, and I was like, man, what a I have never forgot that.
Yeah, we had J.J. Kirkpatrick on we had trumpet, drums and keyboards, and boy, can you wail
with that glass. So good.
Overlooking. Yeah.
So thank you. And it is great to see you. And please plug everything you would like to plug.
Well, I appreciate it. If you want to know sort of a taste of the show, go to YouTube, Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime. Even people listening today, go watch it, because then when we reference it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's hard to explain. Okay, so here I go. I'll try to keep it short.
Do your thing, buddy.
So I'm going to try to bypass the thing I've talked about so much. Most people that know me know that I care about, even at comedy clubs, like the music I play as people are coming in and all that stuff. Okay, that's a given. We don't need to talk about that. But with this show, I sort of took it to another level. And I took advantage of wait, before the doors open. I thought of every level now that I have a band, and I have a saxophone player playing out in the street before the show starts. Some theaters or clubs, the seating is an hour. They're sitting there for an hour. I have 2 of the band members go out and play, and they don't just noodle. It's instrumental, so people can talk. And I always tell them, guys, no offense to you, but don't leave gaps in between the songs. I want people to know that this music now is for them to talk. I don't want them to feel like they have to applaud. Well, so just play, no gaps. One song to another. Anyway, nevertheless. And then there's a tight comedy show backed by a band after the show. I try to have something like an ice cream truck or cookies and hot chocolate to go. And some of the band plays out there. So it turns the night of stand-up comedy, which is already
and not
great.
To interrupt here, but again, when very early on in my career, I worked with, you were headlining, I believe it was Jimmy Dore featuring, I was opening for you in Brea. this might have been like a Wednesday or a Thursday, and you're walking the tabletops. You're doing Sweet Caroline at the end, and you're literally walking on the table. I'm like, who the
I would, I like
It's
the
set-
mixture of
yeah.
the mixture of
It
both.
was always an event. It was
It's
always something that was thought. It was intent behind it, I
Right.
always appreciated that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And hey, by the way, that's why I call it the event of a lifetime. It's not just a name. So anyway, I'm not going to try to explain the show. It is a stand-up comedy show backed by a 10-piece band, but go watch. I'm telling you, go watch Todd Glass, The Event of a Life on YouTube, and then you'll get it. You're like, wow, I don't know. If I keep explaining, it doesn't help. But here's the thing I will explain. So I want to do the show in New York. This explains the crowdsource, and I'm almost done. I want to do the show in a run in New York. But the truth of the matter is, and this explains a portion why I think it's 150,000 we're going for. I could go do the show in New York and make it the best show in the world, but if I don't have the funding to, like when they bring a play into New York, it doesn't have to be Hamilton, but already anybody that's thinking, oh, for PR, for a show, 10, 15, but the minute I say like when a play opens, right away the figure, and the figure we got, he goes, you could spend 3 times more, but the first figure when you could bring in serious promotion and really is
production value,
$30,000 to $50,000 for just promoting it, just the promotion. And then there's obviously to have the band and all that and fly them in, from Los Angeles. This year, I even toured without the band because I wanted my stand-up to be as tight as it fucking can be. And I go out on stage now like I have something to prove. I always did a good job, but now it's at another level. And the only thing that could go wrong, that's why I don't mind waiting this out. Everything takes longer than you think. Everybody listening knows. And sometimes people get embarrassed to talk about it. As long as you're doing something to make it happen, everything takes longer. You go, I'm embarrassed to mention it. It was 2 years, 3 years I've been talking about this. I think the only thing that could go wrong, and I really mean this, because every slice of this show is as tight, excuse my language, as it fucking can be, is to not have the money to do it right. And that's how I want to do it. So that explains the crowdsource. Mm-hmm. And there's different tiers. It's all over there. But if you go to toddglass.com, it'll take you right over to Seed and Spark, which we've been having they've been great. They've been a great helping us out. And I'll just tell you that the 2 highest tiers, and then we're done. One is name the band or your business after you. It's a high ticket item. The band or your business. Hey, I'll call them the Joe's Pizza Band. I don't care. First, my friend goes, let people name the business after the band, like their business. Yeah. I go, no, it's one thing if you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Ryan Sickler Band. That sounds cool. A lot of comedians' names would sound cool. The Roy Scovel Band, but Joey's Pizza. And then I went, oh, no, I love it. Please, the Joey's Pizza Band, they paid for them, folks. And the highest tier, here's the highest tier, that one person sweeps in a benefactor and pays for the whole thing. Now, here's why I think it's a pretty cool tier. My goal with this has always been to get the money first. I do not want to go to my comedian friends and ask for the money. But once I have the money secured, if it's one person and it's a benefactor, then I'm looking for 4 or 5 people to present me. So instead of just blank presents, Mike Birbiglia presents, Jerry Seinfeld presents or whoever. I don't know why I mentioned his name. But it's like, it brings an elephant into the room. You mention his name. But if one person pays for it all, so then I'll go get like 5 comedians to present me on all the advertising. It'll be like boom, 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 6 names, 5 names, present Todd Glass. But if you're a benefactor and you pay for the whole thing, your name goes up. It'll be cool names. I don't want to mention who it'll be because some people that I'll ask might say no with a reason, I'm sure. But 4 or 5 are going to say yes. High profile comedians with a large audience. You get to have your name right there with them. So maybe, somebody like that pay for the whole thing. My brother goes, what if 2 people split it? I go, oh, okay, I'll squeeze both of their names up there. So there it is. There's everything. Thank you for letting me go along with that because it's really... it's a it's my passion project. you
Yeah.
know?
Where do they go for that?
They're just, I thought it was easier instead of sending them to Seed and Spark because they could forget that. Go to toddglass.com. Thank you, Brian.
Toddglass.com.
Thank you, Brian Auditor. I can't say his name, but I love him for my website. And that'll take you, toddglass.com will take you right over to Seed and Spark. And by the way, what we might talk about today, it all ties into why now. Because that's what somebody, was asking me, why now? And I'm like, it all sort of ties in.
Yeah, well, why now? What is it? Because, okay, let me just
Well,
ask
we'll
you
talk
this
about-
to set it up. How old are you now, Tom?
Oh, Jesus.
Come on.
I hate it. 60.
Are you really?
Yeah, shut the fuck up,
You
right?
look good, dude.
You know what? I don't have
and you've
kids.
had a heart attack. It's not
I have.
about that,
I've had,
bro.
I always think I've had I go a ton of lasers,
But
I'm
it's
big on the lasers.
It's stand up over the years alone. It's just not. It's not a healthy choice of occupation for us. And when you really dive into the clubs and the addictions and all the other things that go along with it, but you look great.
I don't do everything right, and I eat a lot of candy late at night. I did quit smoking 12 years ago. I do work out 7 days a week. I stretch with someone that comes in once a week. I do push-ups, sit-ups. I do all myself,
That's what
but
it's
once
all.
a
It's
week.
Stretcher.
He's not a stretcher. He's just a trainer. But when he came, I said, all I want help is for you to stretch me once a week. And let me tell you something. It's amazing.
I know it.
Changes your
I've had to
fucking
go
life.
to PT for over a year, and I love it.
And once you're stretched out, it's not that hard. Like one time I go, Moses, I'm all.
I can't wait for shit to fall now. Like,
we just
let me
start
get that.
talking. We start talking, and I go, I don't really feel like before. He goes, yeah, because you're stretched out. Now we're just maintaining. And if you're just maintaining, it doesn't hurt like the first 2 months where you're trying to get your leg to where when they. But
And how long have you been in stand up now?
I started in 1981.
81. So what is
I
that?
was in high school.
2000.
45 years.
Wow. So there's now leads me to my question.
And I still, by the way, I still love it. And I'm glad that I'm aware because it makes me a better comic that how I'm aware of the honest state of comedy today, which is great in my opinion. It always gets better and better. The arts get better and better. They just don't get worse and worse. It's not the way it goes. So I'm glad that I'm in touch with and know new comedians. And it's I'm happy because I still really love it. And stand up alone is great, but with the band, I go out. I fucking love it. It's fun. It's powerful.
Dude, when we back in the day, we did that Crab Feast Home Run Derby. Jay got the ice cream truck, and I didn't say anything, and I hired a 5-piece mariachi band.
It's the best.
And let me tell you, when I went over to these guys, I'm talking to them like, hey, do you guys know the national anthem? And they said, which one? And I said, oh, we got an authentic one here. All right. And I was like, both of them. So they played both national anthems. And then I said, every time I go up, you're my hype music. You're my theme music. Play. This is my walk up to the plate.
Isn't it fun?
Build it up. And I said, as soon as I'm done, you go silent. You don't play shit when he walks up there. You're not here for him. You're here for me. And that was and it felt, and then I knew just in, a lot of people showed up to watch it, but you hear a mariachi band at a park. You're going over to see what's going on over there.
It puts you in a good mood.
You're walking right over and go, what the fuck's going on over there?
Yeah.
And going right over. And that's what happened. People came to be like, what the hell is this?
What's going on? Yeah, real quick.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
You don't interrupt. We're conversing. When the show starts, I know people are there for stand-up. I want them to I know what it's like to want a fix of stand-up comedy. So this show gives people that. And I preface that all the time because in case people think, is it a one-man show? No, it's a stand-up comedy show. But the opening, I had sometimes I'll have the singer say, hey, when I met Todd, I talked about how when I met musicians, I found my people. And Todd said comedians, because we talked about this. And when I found comedians, when I was 15 or 16,
Same.
A lot of comedians. I like comedians. I really do. With all our, people can have their issues and they can deal with things, but I really do. I could cry because it's like I met so many nice comedians over the years. I get it. It's not lost on me. What a great group of people so in a shorter version, he says, and when Todd met comedians, he felt the same way. I found my people. So, and he makes this very short. He goes, we're going to open the show tonight. And he shreds, for once in my life, I have someone who needs me, and dedicate it to all the comedians that Todd's met over the years. Does a 2-minute version. And I mean, shreds it. boom, at the end of the song, hits the deep keys, boom, blackout. And then, ladies and gentlemen, and then I come out. So people, get it's a little emotional even. And then I got no trouble following that. So you can start the show in a big way with music. Anyway, there we go.
So why now?
Well, why now? Well, I always wanted to do it. And we talked about this on the phone a little bit. I always preface two things when I talk about this stuff. For my own insecurities.
I
preface everything. I know.
Preface your preface.
I wonder if I know. Someone said when I preface everything, I go, don't say that. Now I'm going to preface my preface. Now you created
I told Kirsten, I go, wait till Todd gets here.
Yeah.
I was laughing at your clip of like, you can edit that out and put it back in later. And then we'll pull it out. We'll put it back in somewhere else down there.
I don't know why. I think maybe later in life, can I still work on my stuff? Can I stop prefacing? Why do I do that? But anyway, one is everyone has things they go through. I don't tell it in some way like, oh, woe is me. And two, why? Why talk about it? Maybe it makes me feel better. And I go with the old Mr. Rogers quote. And Mr. Rogers, just when you think you can't love him anymore, some clip shows up on TikTok or Instagram. He said, if you mention it, it's manageable. Because back in the old days, no one mentioned anything. If you can mention it, you can manage it. Doesn't mean it'll be easy depending on what you're mentioning. So I figure on a show like this, you mention it and it continues to help manage it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe for somebody else, including me still, but other people. So, I've dealt with death in my life. But this year, about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, my mom died. And, my mom was 80. She had a lot more life in her. Cancer, cancer came during the pandemic. I thought I was going to have to say goodbye to her over Zoom.
Oh, no.
But she got back. The doctor goes, no, we can, and we can deal with this. We can get you on,
Can I ask what kind of cancer?
It's a name that I have a hard time saying.
It's not like a lung or...
No, it was something.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed that I don't know. But
also, it's disgusting. There are so many of them that we don't even know what the hell they are, and they're just wiping us out.
Yeah, it was. I thought the name came to me, but it didn't. But nevertheless, she fought it. She got back. Everything seemed great, and then, you could ask many questions you want, but I'll give you the short version. And then I got a call from her one day. My mom had sometimes gone into the hospital and gone out, and sometimes we thought after a while you think, oh, she's going to be okay, and she did. She recouped. She was okay. And I got a call from her earlier in the morning. I went to voicemail because when my mom called, I always let it go to voicemail. I had a good relationship with my mom.
I was about to ask. Okay,
but she was always. There was a lot of drama. And I dealt with it, and there was also a lot of laughs. Me and my family, we all get along. She was crying. She said the cancer came back. So I called. Then I did call her. I called her. She picked up. She was talking, upset, but very, my mom didn't have old lady voice. My mom just talked like, probably because she quit smoking years ago, but. So I don't know why I'm saying that, but it was a very lucid, is that the word? Mm-hmm. Conversation. And at that point, she said the doctor came in. Then I called her back in an hour. And then it took another level. And then she was told that Jesus Christ, that she wasn't going to live that long.
Really?
Yeah. It happened very quick.
I was going to say, that's instant.
Well, she hadn't been feeling well for a little while. The cancer was there from 2 years ago, right. And then she got chemo. And it's funny, everybody in my family probably has a different version of this. The guts of it are the same. But I always wonder when they listen to these shows, and I say that just in case they are. I'm close enough.
That's not how it happened.
Yeah, there you go. So you never came home.
Picking that.
So... You never came home. They start emailing your show. So I said, "Are you scared?" I couldn't even say dying. Are you scared?
Can I stop you here for a second?
Yes.
when they tell your mom you don't have much time, what sort of time frame are they giving her?
You know, it's weird how
Days,
everything
weeks, like
months,
months.
2 months could be 7 days.
Yeesh.
So I asked her if she was scared, and I was pretty I was trying to hold it together a little bit, but I was crying. I knew it was all right to cry, but maybe I didn't cry that time. Maybe I wanted to hold it together for her. And I said, "Are you scared?" She said, "Well, I feel bad for the people that that I'm leaving." So I was like, "Okay," and then we talked a little bit more. I said, "Do you want?" At that point, she wasn't really talking to a few people in the family. It was going on for like 2 years, which happens. And I said, "Do you want me to call them?" And she said, "Yes." She cried. She said yes, which I was glad. Because, some people, they go to their death holding on to things. Even though I wish it could have resurrected, but it couldn't. I had to stand back. I could not fix this, which I used to try to in the past. I stood back. I said, "Mom, that's not my job if you're not getting along with these people." And I'm learning as I tell this story, it doesn't matter what it was. That's irrelevant to this story, why they were arguing. People have family drama. And
this person's about to leave the planet.
Yeah.
They say, "Hey, if you're interested, I'm open."
And it was
to
only
a
2 years, not the whole family.
That's
a
not a
few
long
of them. Yeah, it wasn't. And in that 2 years, there were moments they tried, but it did. And she said yes. So they took her home the next day to hospice at the house. So now it also goes quicker because she got off all medicines, all everything, So they all went, and they told me I was going to go home, because you hear that in 2 days. My brother called me after talking to the doctor and said, "Todd, you should, get home." And I was like, shit, I wanted to get a haircut. I wish I was lying. I wanted to get a haircut. I wanted to look good if I have to go home. So anyway, I'm so embarrassed. Yeah. By the way, it's my vanity is sometimes just not. It's so embarrassing. But again, if you mention it, it's manageable. So I don't get a haircut.
I thought you were going to say you don't go home and you
No, I
get
don't
there.
go home at all. Well, I wanted to get some things in order, but when he called me, I got on a midnight flight.
Sure.
Whatever it was, 11:30, and I'm trying to think how I tied. I also have a friend. This ties into this, who's talking me through this. His name is Kevin Sousa, and he also. Well, we'll get to that, but everyone can tell something happens with Kevin too. He's a therapist. He's my best friend since we were so young. I met him not like when I met him when I was like, we were 10-year difference. And he was editing he had a band and they were like back in Philly and they were like 17, 18. I was 28 and I saw their band because I was editing at this place. I'm like, "Oh, you guys are good." Then I got him a job. I'm like, "Hey, my friend has this place. He needs a band. You guys are pretty good." And that was it. Never saw each other for 3 years. Then my friends own a college bar in Pennsylvania called Smokey Joe's. So Kevin's 3 years later, I'm at the college bar. At this point, I'm like probably, I don't know how, 27, 28. I hung out at the college bar still. I couldn't anymore. And we became best friends. He had a bad drug problem. But we were friends. He was a fucking bad drug addict. But through it all, me and Kevin, I'm not, I smoked pot and we were just close. He cleans himself up, becomes a therapist. So he was helping me in life. He helped me come out, helped me come out of the closet, and he was talking me through my mom, which was so helpful. I mean, clean, tangible advice that you could apply.
Cozy Earth crafts luxury goods to transform your lifestyle. They have everything from bath towels, body care, blankets, pajamas, and so much more. Their bedding is temperature regulating, available in linen and viscose from bamboo, which means you don't have to lose any more sleep over being too cold or too hot. Cozy Earth loungewear offers optimal comfort while maintaining a flattering, elegant fit. They sent me some sweats. I got a hoodie. I'm telling you, they're both amazing. If you like soft, comfortable stuff to lay around in, Cozy Earth, y'all. You know what else is amazing? There's something for any man or woman, and you'll find it offered in a variety of different styles and colors. If that wasn't enough, all products come with a 10-year warranty. There's a reason Cozy Earth has been featured on Oprah's Favorite Things 5 years in a row. Cozy Earth provide an exclusive offer for my listeners today. Get up to 35% off site-wide when you use code HoneyDew at www.cozyearth.com. That's code HoneyDew at cozyearth.com for up to 35% off. The days are warmer, the walks are longer, and one easy way to help your dog shine this season is with fresh, healthy food from the Farmer's Dog. The Farmer's Dog makes real fresh dog food and delivers it right to your door. Recipes are developed by vet nutritionists, made from real meat and veggies, portioned just for your dog, making it easy to say goodbye to burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food with real benefits. All right, Princess loves this food. You've seen her eat it on the show. She's tearing it up at home. I love the Farmer's Dog. Everything comes pre-portioned for her size with her name on it. It's very well done. I really, really am impressed. It's smart. It's healthy pet food. You can feel good about feeding your pup. It's the best option for dogs of all life stages because it's not kibble. It's not canned goo. It's real healthy food. They even go a step further and send all the food pre-portioned, like I said, specifically for your dog based on their unique needs. This makes it easy to help your dog maintain their ideal weight, one of the biggest predictors of a full, healthy life. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/honeydew. Plus, get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/honeydew to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/honeydew. Did you know nearly 75% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about? Between streaming services, fitness apps, delivery services, it's never ending. Free trials start to add up when you forget to cancel it on time. Thanks to Rocket Money, there's no more wasting money on forgotten subscriptions. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. With Rocket Money, I have full control over my subscriptions and a clear view of my expenses. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, Rocket Money can help me cancel it with a few taps. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is submit a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $740 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/honeydew. That's rocketmoney.com/honeydew. rocketmoney.com/honeydew. Now, let's get back to the do.
So anyway, I have Kevin. He goes, so I have Kevin with me, to be able to call him. I go home the day before, they're all there, getting along great. Everybody, it's good. My mom's husband, he's not my dad. My dad died when I was 23. So they're all there. They're all there, and I Zoomed them. And my mom was, little more tired. I never really seen her like that. And then, so I Zoomed with them. The next morning, I got home, landed at 6, 7 in the morning, whatever. Went right to the house. I get inside. I go into a room. Have you ever?
Yeah.
And I'd never seen her like that. So
I remember seeing my grandmom like when she had Alzheimer's and when she was like ready to go. I am not kidding you when I tell you, like, you lean over and hug, you feel all the bones. I felt like I could blow her over. You know what I mean? Just a human being like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I have messages on my phone. With my dad, I had one voicemail on my message machine years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I just didn't mean as much to me then. I don't know why. My dad was great, but my mom, I started to save her voice memos, and I started playing them on my podcast to drop some things that I know I would love, and they would be stored there. I didn't have to worry I lost them. I have messages from 11 days before she died. My friend wants to come. Is it all right? Because she moved from her house into this they were like little lofts, but in a building. And everybody was very young, like 22 to 35. And she made friends with everybody, her and her husband. So she would always want to bring people to the show. And I loved it. I was like, no, no problem. She would always bring people to the show. She had messages of her asking, can I bring these people to the show 11 days before she died? And I walk in, and there she is. And she knew, I mean, it took a turn. I was not ready for that. I thought I was going to sit and ask her all these questions. I even had some questions like, remember Billy, our dog, or remember Bear? Like, what happened to Bear? I wanted to these things. And she absolutely knew it was me, though. She knew it was me. She said, hi, Todd. I gave her a hug. And but it was a lot to look at her and just take her in. And luckily, a lot of people from the building. One woman that lived next door was a hospice nurse. Like that did. So she was, oh man, just thank the universe for those people that were there. Right? Oh my God. They weren't afraid of my mom. I was afraid to lift her up. But she would go right in there and lift her blanket up, and she wasn't scared of the. They were just those people, and it was hard. I told her some things. I said the next day. Let me go to the next day because then it got even worse. And no, this was the first day. She was out of it, and I said, Mom, because and 2 hours later I went in there, no one was around, and I said, just as she squeezed my hand. I said, I know you squeezed it. Don't kill me, but squeeze it 3 times. I want to know. It's when some people go, I think they knew, and that's beautiful too.
We're gonna go 3 and not 2.
I wanted to know. She had done it twice, and I'm like, do it. So she went squeeze, squeeze, squeeze.
Did she?
Yeah, she squeezed.
Right.
And I'm
okay, good.
I go, okay. Now I go. So she's here, and I just said the things, I said, I wanted to be so realistic. I said, I know this last 2 years has not been great, but I go, Mom, I'm going to cry through this, but I think it's better I tell her.
Cry, Todd Glass.
I was like, you got to say everything you want to say. And I said, Mom, which is all true, and I'm leaving. There was a little chaos around my mom, and it was getting worse. My friend Kevin said, when you don't work on yourself when you're younger, you envelop, it's not good when you get older. It blows up even bigger.
Big time.
Yeah. So that was happening with my mom a little. So it was hard to celebrate her because she was always causing chaos.
Well, she also said something that's very important that I learned a long time ago, because when someone dies, we think about how we lose that person, but that person's losing everyone.
All right.
And your mom said that.
She feels bad for that.
For the people who I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting that she wasn't, is she still thinking about everybody else?
Yeah, she was, and I get that. I get that.
Yeah, they're
I really
losing
do.
Everyone. We lose, again, pulling all emotions and everything out. If you're looking at it as a mathematical equation, we lose one, they lose all.
They lose everybody. And I don't really know if she was scared or not. I don't. She was a pretty spiritual person. But when I went to tell my mom what she did right, what I wanted to say, there was a lot she did right. And I said, Mom, I know this last 2 years, but Mom, I go, you did such a good job. I go, her mom was a monster. Not a normal mom, crazy mom, but she was a monster. And her dad left when she was 12. And I go, you did such a good job, Mom. Such a good fucking job. And I started to tell stories because I know they hear, again, she was that day, she was still not as coherent as I wanted, but she was still there. And I told stories because my friend Meg showed up at that point. And I said, I go, Mom, I said it again. I go, Mom, you need to know. I mean, you really, you did and I even said some things. I go, from bringing us to see hair, when we were in elementary school. She brought us to see the play Hair.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about my mom. Like some people think, and even her friends, you know, were probably thinking, what are you bringing kids in elementary school to see Hair? But those songs stick with me to the end of this day.
That moment just came all the way back to her death. I mean, that's, yeah.
Yeah, the Bare Necessities, when she brought that album home from Disneyland, when she went with my little brother, and we met so many cool people. I go, Mom, and I said, all these cool people, because my mom was cool. So we met cool people. And then the next day, it was much worse. Much worse. She was, you know, she was still able to eat a little, but it was hard for her. And I had some emotions in me that, I mean, I'm not an affectionate person, but some of it was like, I can't believe that I was able to do it. And like one of them was like, I was feeding her sherbet. I go, do you want some sherbet? She said, yes. I fed her sherbet nice and slow. And I don't know, I called her baby. I was like, you all right, baby? You know, I was like, and I knew that was like, that I didn't know I had that in me to be that affectionate with my mom. We were close, and I rubbed her head, and I fed her sherbet, and I was patient, and her dogs were in bed with her, the 2 dogs. And then people would come in from the building, you know, like that lived there. They would come in, and when they would go in to say hi to her, we let them go by themselves. And when they came out, some of these people, I mean, they weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
Like, death is that close. They would come out, some of these people that did not look like, you know, that were just, she met everybody in the building. So it'd be like a 25-year-old guy was a construction guy and looked like, you know, like he was he would come out and he would look like just torn. Like just, and you know, I hugged everybody. I'm a pretty big hugger. So I hugged everybody and I was like, I know you weren't ready for that, were you? And they're like, no, she just invited me to the show like a week ago.
Yeah.
And then Matt, this guy, I think his name was Matt, came in. And Matt, my mom had like probably a little crush on Matt. He's a very good looking guy. And Matt came in the second day. She was very out of it and she lifted her head up. She went, Matt, you showed up. I'm like, I go, Matt, get the fuck out of here. Jokingly. I go, Matt, get the fuck out of here. You just got more than me. You just got more than me. And I slept there. I did stay there. I stayed on their sofa.
Good.
And the dogs were in there. You didn't get a lot of sleep. I tell you what, if it ever happened again, I would probably go with a nurse through the night. Because I don't want her lips to be dry for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, it went pretty fast, but I thought about that. We were about to do that. We thought, let's Spencer, my brother, Michael, Corey, let's maybe get a hospice nurse tonight. Just someone's there with her all night long. And the hospice nurse came in on the 3rd day and said to Steve, her husband, you can tell by the frown here that she's in a little bit of pain. And I thought Steve was going to be afraid to administer the morphine because you have to do it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, please don't be afraid. For lack of a better word to say it, we all wanted like heavy on the morphine. Don't keep her around for us.
This is what it's for.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the hospice nurse pulled Steve aside, talked to him. My friend Meg had dealt with it with her dad and said, don't do it for you. Like trying to be understanding to him, but also he you know, so appreciative. He did. When he was told by the hospice nurse, it's time, he went in and he really, you know, gave her a big dose, you know, what he was supposed to, but like the highest dose he was allowed to give her at that point. And then someone told Steve to take, it was about 6 hours later, to take a walk, go. Because sometimes they stay because for you know. Steve came back again, you know, this, I hope I'm remembering it right. He came back and he came out of the room and he had a look on his face. And I said, is everything okay? I mean, he's like he goes, no. She died. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So At this point, my nephew's there, Tyler. My brother. I thought maybe everyone won't want to come because they didn't want to see her like that, but everybody came. They were coming that night anyway, but my brother pulled his kids out of school. They came, my nieces, my nephews, every single person came. Tyler was there already, my nephew. And I went into the other room and I was like, I'm close with Tyler, but I just grabbed on and ugly cried for about probably a minute. We'd never seen each other like that before. And then pulled back and was like, you could pull it together pretty quick, amazingly. Not faking it even, just, okay. And I went back out and, somebody said, Todd, don't be here. That's why we were in the room, because don't be here when they take her. Don't take her when they put him in a bag. And the coroner showed up. I remember peeking my head out. He was in a suit. That sort of, didn't think that would be, but I guess out of respect, they show up in a suit. And he cornered, I didn't want to see it. I shut the door. I waited till she was gone. Then I went out. And in the meantime, my brother Spencer came before the coroner was there. He went in. He was not ready to be that emotional. He didn't know it was going to hit him like a ton of bricks. He just went straight to the bathroom, shut the door for about 3 minutes. Then the coroner came. We came back out. And, it was a lot of love there. A lot of people were there, which I was happy with. And even a lot of laughing. Steve was very sweet to everybody, her husband. Sometimes he can be a little gruff and, but he was everybody. His son, Steve, little Steve, I call him, his wife, Kara, people from the building. And I called my friend Kevin because I was like, I'm always all right. I can, even when my dad died, I was 23. And I remember finding out, I went into the emergency ward because I didn't know what happened. I thought he just had a heart attack and he lived. Mm-hmm. My brother goes, Todd, Dad died. And I was I went over and I hit the wall, but then I came right back. I was after 30 seconds, I go crying, but I go, we're going to have Christmas. Everything's going to be all right. We're going to be good. I went in and said goodbye to my dad. And so I was everybody was there. We were laughing. And then I remember this moment when I went over there were these cookies that my mom made every year. And I went and there were some there and they were in the freezer. I go, hey, Steve, can I eat these? And he goes, yeah, your mom made them for you. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus. And it was just
of course,
I know,
right?
warm moment between me and him.
Yeah.
Of course, I think I'll eat one and then but I ate them all. There was 8 of them. And I thought I'd eat them over the next day it's my mom's cookies. And we laughed. We told stories about my mom. We even made some, my friend Kevin said, Todd, I call him because I couldn't, I was having a hard time sometimes even catching my breath. It was overwhelming to me. And that my mom's just gone. She's not here anymore. Part of it was life might be, because she did cause a lot of drama. And I thought, I was thinking sometimes on a bad day with my mom, I would might be easier, and maybe it is. Maybe it is easier. But the thing that makes it difficult was not difficult, but now that my mom isn't around causing topical drama, which I call it trouble with Steve, I'm able to celebrate who she was. And there's a lot to celebrate, a lot. And we did. We talked. We laughed. Everybody laughed. But I called Kevin. I said, Kevin, he's my friend I said, Kevin, he goes, Todd, he said, listen, it is an honor and a privilege. This was something he said actually when I was rubbing her head. He goes, to take her through this journey. It's an honor and a privilege. So just go in there. You'll know what to do. And then when he died, he goes, only the body he called it the meat suit.
Yeah.
He goes, it's the mind,
the messy meat suit.
The love that transcends. That transcends. So, I went, we all hung out for a long time. Everybody hung out, a lot of laughing. And then I needed to get out of there. I didn't want to sleep over then but he had enough people with him. I went to my friend Meg's house. She has an old farmhouse in Philadelphia. I had nothing to do. I spent a week. I mean, the farmhouse is only important because it was a cool way to go, everything the way I like it. It's perfect and pretty, and the yard, and Meg I've known forever. And I existed for a week with like no world existed. I slept till I wanted to sleep. I woke up. She took me to the gym. She dropped me off. It was like I was in elementary school, and we laughed and we cried and we just existed. She made dinner every night. We sat around the fire, and it was just pure bliss of letting myself disconnect from the world, which I'd have never done like that before. I think some people felt that a little bit around the COVID. Like, since everything stopped, there was this sort of peacefulness in with the horror, obviously, too. And I just existed there. And then Jim Gaffigan found out what happened through my manager, and he texted me. He goes, "Do you think it would be good for you to do some dates with me?" I said, "Oh, definitely." Yeah, definitely. Sure. I did those dates, went right back to Philly, and I had some shows at Helium. I'm almost done. I had some shows at Helium and Comedy Club. My mom went to Helium every year. She did. She always saw my shows. And I did my shows. I knew I wanted to talk about her. So I knew I had to have good shows, because you can't have a bad show and then talk about your dead mom. You know what I mean? It's too personal to share with an audience that doesn't like you. Yeah. So I went out there with a mission every night. My mom, she sat at the same place with all her friends all the time, was right ahead of me. And I did my show every night. And at the end, I said, "Folks, I want to share something with you. For over the years, a lot of people knew, because when I did Preston and Steve, I'd always go, 'My mom needs landscaping. Is any landscapers out there?' And I just said, as some of you might know, she was dealing with cancer, and it's sad, but I'm telling you for a reason. She passed away. It was a little hard for me to say, but I said it. And I go, and I'm telling you not just to be sad, but when she was in the hospital during COVID, I couldn't go. So I asked people on my podcast and people on MMR, because that's a local podcast / radio show, to send her cards in there. She got hundreds of cards.
Wow, really?
Hundreds of cards.
Wow.
Which, it sort of reminds you how decent we can be as a species, And I said, if you send something, thank you. And I told people, don't worry about getting a card. Don't worry. I don't care if you write a happy face on a Post-it, because I don't want to put anything in the way of someone going, "Oh, I got to get a card. Oh, I want to do that." Happy face on a Post-it. And a lot of those came in. I'm glad that I said that. And I said, even if you did, I've done this before. And I said, folks, even if you didn't send anything, but you thought about it. I go, I'm not kidding. You just thought about it. Thank you for that too. If you just wanted to do it, that means a lot too. And I told some stories about her. And then we sang Let It Be. And then it was just a nice way. And that club, I couldn't have been at a better club. Talk about reminding you how good we can be as a species. The staff, I mean.
Yeah, they're great. They're great at Helium.
They're great anyway. But around this, I mean, I couldn't have walked into a more loving atmosphere, from the manager, the bartenders, the people in the kitchen. They wrote this big card and they all signed it. And I go into the green room and there's flowers and just these really nice messages. And I was like, I went back out because they were doing their staff meeting. And I was like, guys, I go, oh, you don't understand. It's not just like, hey, thanks. I go, it's just, and I just started, I couldn't say anything. So I just said, I think you get it. I just went back to the green room. And I said the other day, I go, it was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I go, I miss when my mom was just dead. And I think whoever I was talking to, a few friends, and I go, do you know what I mean? They go, well, because you got more love. I go, yes. And I told my friend Ted Alexander that, and he goes, I was thinking, could I do that in my act? He goes, I think you could. He goes, just say, folks, I thought she was going to be just dead forever. but because you get all that love and everything. So the helium was a great way to enter back into stand-up comedy, but in a loving atmosphere. And then I went off, same thing, did a show in New Hope at this place called John and Peter's, and with some sentimental value, which I didn't realize my mom would take us to New Hope when we were little.
You didn't even remember
I
this?
didn't think, I knew when I went to New Hope for the last 3 years, but I wasn't thinking, there's not just another show. There's a show with like Philadelphia, more of an attachment to my mom. Because when we were little, we'd all go to New Hope, and John and Peter's has been there forever. And I talked about her, I did 2 shows, and I talked about her on the first show. I didn't on the second, or the other way around. And then after the show, the owners, they take all like 5-6 tables, they put them up on this gigantic stage with black tablecloths over them, and they get all the candles from the room and they put them down the middle. They turn all the lights out in the room. All sat around the table, some local comedians, some people I knew, and we stayed there. We ordered food, and I knew that he did that. I go, oh man, because he goes, well, I figured you didn't want the night to end. I'm like, what? And we did. We stayed there till probably 3:30 in the morning, and they let us eat and drink and just hang on this table. So entering back into the real world was the best way that I could possibly do it. And, I do. I think about my mom all the time. I have one little anecdote that happened the other night, because my mom would start buying me things. Like she goes, oh, I want you to have something to remember me by. I go, Mom, I have a spatula, because I'm saying a spatula. I'm not calling it a spatula. So I have a spatula. Me and Bert went through this on his show. And then when I watched it, I go, no, you're saying it right, spatula. But you're going, I gave my mom
a spatula.
A spatula, yeah. So, and she took it out of the frame I gave her a year later. She goes, I needed it. And I remember this from 3rd grade. And I have it. And that's all I wanted that night. Steve goes, is there anything you want? I go, I want that. And I wanted a jar that she kept dog biscuits in. She used to use flour and sugar in it, but it was a Lance jar. She kept dog biscuits in it.
I swear, Todd Glass, my father died when I was 16, and I remember family coming in and just taking his camera and anything that they thought was of value. We didn't even get offered. Same when my grandmom died. The vulture just came in and they took things. Jewelry, anything they could.
Yeah, that happens.
And now I have my grandmom's Afghan, which is on the way back set. I swear I keep fingernail clippers and things in this little zip pouch thing. It was hers. It means more to me to have a blanket and a makeup case than any camera back then or any of that shit. And I try to tell my daughter now, like, she's very, well, you gave this to me. I go, listen, for years, I would not throw away a pocket Bible because my grandmom would give them to me all the time. And I'm like, I don't fucking want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had the guilt of the Bible, the guilt of my grandmom is a gift. And then one day I was like, fuck it. And I threw it away. And it was so freeing.
It is.
Because the memories and the stories and everything are so much more. The laughter it elicits, the tears, the emotions. That's better than any fucking watch or any, pendant. And I told her, like, don't get attached to stuff I give you. God forbid something happens to me. I don't want you to freak out.
You said this to your daughter?
I did. That teddy bear got torn. You know what I mean? Like, just remember I gave it to you.
Yeah.
That's all you got to remember. It's not gone. But you know what I mean? Yes. I'm not gone because that's gone.
On a side note, I had the same thing. Some things people gave to me. I'll make this quick because then I'll get back to that other story. Some things they meant something to me, but I didn't want to get rid of them. And someone told me, I don't remember who even, but I clear out my phone every year. And you go through it. I get rid of the stuff I don't want. It's usually pictures, of course, screenshots of text that went back and forth. They get nostalgic 2 years later, reading through the book. Oh, look at this between me and Rory or somebody. And then things that I want to get rid of, but I feel guilty. But they do mean something to me. I just don't want them. Now, there's certain things I want the item, but that's not that many of those. So take a picture of it. And then throw it out, or if it's something you can give to charity. Now when you're turning the pages, now I see it. It's not in a drawer, So anyway, with my mom, she would do that, and she bought me this Christmas thing, a rocking horse, and you turn it. And after Christmas, I put up my tree. I went to put it in the shed behind my house, and it's cold in there. And I go, oh, Ryan, I couldn't do it. I couldn't put it in the cold. I was like, I know it's just an item. I get it. Yeah. But I couldn't leave it out there in the cold. And I put it out there, and I went back out, and I brought it in the house. And now I just keep it in the house. I could not leave it out there in the cold. Yeah. That's the one thing that I couldn't. Mm-hmm. So, they say you never know what's going to remind you of that person. We know that. Everybody's heard that. It's not like I go, wow, it's weird. The weirdest. You just don't know the feeling till you experience it. I come home one night, and I take my shoes off, and I have those like inserts you put in your shoes, and they're chewing. And I went, they're from one of her dogs, chewed it when I was home. And it was a dog I really liked. And I remember going into the living room, I'm like, somebody chewed this. And no, he had it in his mouth still. And I go, oh my God, do you have any idea? You know how when you do the bits with dogs or a cat or whatever, I go, do you have any idea who chewed it? And he's got it in his mouth, and then he drops it. I go, all right, you don't have any idea who did it. All right. I go over and I get it. You sure you don't know? Because if you know, I really would like to know. I don't know. And then I go, that's the last thing that one of my mom's dogs is going to chew, which I never thought I'd miss that. And I get emotional.
Oh, man. Yeah. See, that's the math I do too. Like, man, I didn't consider.
I get emotional. Oh. And I think my mom, this was a crazy night. I think that my mom wanted me to always have a dog or a cat. I don't know. Because, and I didn't. Not because I don't like animals. I'm just on the road a lot. I'm a little bit of an, very clean freak. So I never had one, but that's important for a reason. So I see the spatula. I see the chewing thing, and then I realize, that there's a blanket at the end of my bed that, because it's just been there for 2 years, so I almost forgot about it. When I was home visiting my mom, I needed a blanket. I took one out of the closet. She goes, "Oh no, that's a puppy blanket," because she would have like litters of puppies and stuff, and they had like probably poop and piss all over them and been Cloroxed, but it was so soft. I go, "Oh, I like it." So soft. And then at the end of when I was home, I go, "Can I take that home with me?" I had it trimmed up and a new lining put on it, but it's so soft. And that's at the end of the bed on my feet. See the spatula, the chewing thing, and I'm about ready to let a cat that just came to my house, showed up very underweight, probably sleep in bed with me, high probability of maybe having fleas.
Yeah.
And I start crying. I go, "Mom." I said it out loud. I go, "Oh, Mom, Jesus Christ. You see, I'm you. I'm you. Even though I never had a dog, I'm you. I got a blanket with shit all over it at the end of my bed that I cuddle up with every night. And, right? And this cat that might have fleas, I go, I'm you. And I just cried. I know. The poop blanket, I told my brothers that. And it was just that. And so since then, I do these things where I call them guided cries. And I know it's going to bring tears out of me.
Yeah, no
but on the
doubt.
Other side of it doesn't have to be. They say
right.
You can only be as happy as you're willing to be sad. I get that there's a reason for that. So I could play a Hair song from Hair, any song from Hair, or the country Bear Jamboree song from, and it will bring up emotion in me. I call it a guided cry. And sometimes it lasts 15 minutes. I feel flushed at the end of it. And then I just go back to, just enjoying the night.
Todd Glass, listen, this has been definitely the most I've cried in an episode for sure. This one, and I would say Tom Segura's episode. I can't thank you enough for coming on here and sharing this. I feel every bit of your pain. But I do want to ask you this. This is your first time here. So after this conversation, what advice are you giving to 16-year-old Todd Glass?
Wow. I thought about this because we mentioned it when I came here. It's weird. It's like I'm trying to not give some advice that's been given a lot, but it's like, nothing matters. I mean, it does matter, but like the thing, like I remember back in elementary school or third grade, I get in trouble and I was like, oh, you're going to go to the principal's office. And later, like, what the fuck was it? Nothing. What was going to happen to me in third grade with the principal? It's not the president. But that, oof. I wish I could send it to you later. Like right now, I'll go like this. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, I'll go like this. Ask me the question again.
Todd Glass, what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
Oh, God, that's a good one. Now, can you just lay that in later?
We'll cut that in.
You can cut that in later.
We'll cut that in.
Take a lot of pictures. Take more pictures. You never take pictures with your friends. And later when you realize, oh, I love these pictures. So, and just be silly. Silly, 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 silly dance. Silly dance. And that's what I would say. Be silly.
Thank you for doing this. Again, promote it all, please.
Well, the why now is this is definitely, you as you get older, you realize, your own mortality. Immortality comes to play. I'm thinking, remember when my mom was my age? And then you lay in bed and do math. You're like, oh my God, I got 20 minutes.
My dad was never my age.
I know, me neither.
Isn't that right? How about that?
I know. My dad died at
23.
And he was 47.
Yeah, my dad was 42. My dad's never been this age.
How did your dad die?
Heart clots and
same with mine.
Blood disease.
Same with mine. And so I when I turned his age, it was like very, but what were we just saying?
I'm asking to promote.
I realized there's an urgency now to this show. I just don't want to say it where it goes in one ear and out the other, but I lay in bed at night. For 3 years, I've been fantasizing doing this show in New York. And I will say this, maybe it's a shout out to a benefactor. People have been very generous with their donations, but not just some bullshit pipe dream. There is high probability that this show will be a success because I put the work into it.
That's right.
Not only have I been putting the serious work into it for 3 years touring with, but 45 years doing this. I am a well-oiled machine with something to prove. I still love comedy. I'm still growing and happy about it. So if we have I'd rather wait another year, and believe me, I thought I was going to do it last October, to do it right. Well, hopefully I don't die before it happens.
Amen.
Or there's going to be a lot of comedians. Why do I say this? Because I want them to hear this and do it. There's some comedians out there that have the money to go, Todd, I got it. I want this to happen. I'm not being selfish. If I die, I won't be around. How can I be? They're going to feel bad. They're going to be like, why? I think it's because they don't know this thing could be successful. They don't know what it is. They're not aware what I'm doing. But anyway, also, I'm not a mercy mission that anybody has to come in and help me, but I'll take the help. I'll be desperate. But yeah, why now is because, if not now, then when? And I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to do this show for the rest of my life. So, toddglass.com takes you right over to Seed and Spark. And even if you don't, look, there's people right now, they don't have the money. They don't have they're short $5. I get it. Just go over, watch it, because I think you'll get, and leave a kind message. If that's all you can do is go over, watch that, Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime, and leave a kind message on the comments, that'll be really awesome too.
Great.
And good, it does. It brings up, if you mention
this was powerful.
It's manageable.
It is. This was a powerful episode as well. You really got me with the 3 squeezes. That's where I started to lose it. As always, Ryan Sickler on all your social media. Come see me on tour. Tickets are available at ryansickler.com. We'll talk to y'all next week.